Well, hello everyone. It's good to see you here today and welcome to the Talking Cafe Live. My name is Caroline Korf. I'm known as Carrie and I'm a community agent for the Community Council for Somerset in the Taunton Deane area. And I'm very pleased to be joined today by Becky Marsh from Watch, the peer support group based in Chard, and Bryony Clark. So how are you both today?
Hello, really well, thank you.
Oh, good. Well, it's really kind of you to join us and give us your time. I've been hearing some great things about you and come across you in the past. So it's really good to have you here to talk about what you do. I think what we're going to do is just start and talk a little bit about the Watch Project in general, aren't we, Becky, together? And then it'd be great, Bryony, to bring you in and talk about your lived experience and, you know, what your journey has been.
Brilliant.
And what you're doing with the Watch Project now, and others, of course. So firstly, Becky, can you describe what the Watch is and what it actually does, please?
Yes, Watch is a community project which is based in Chard. It runs on a Thursday, and it's a peer group that accepts people who have mild to moderate mental health challenge, who are particularly isolated, who can come and be with others with a view to getting support from people who understand and helping them move forward into recovery. So that's part of what Watch does. What Watch also does is take that understanding of peer support and try and take what really works in peer support and embed that throughout the county. So we also run training groups throughout Somerset. We work with other partners in the mental health network, which we'll talk about later, to support people who would really benefit from being with other people who have been in a similar position. So we kind of do those two things. One is the community project that's based in Chard, and the other one is the training in peer support, which we do throughout Somerset.
Oh, that's great. So does that mean that you're actually working with peer support groups in various localities across Somerset?
Oh, I've lost you.
Yep, you're breaking up, aren't you?
There we go. I'm back.
You're back. Yes, good.
Sorry about that.
So
yes,
that's okay. I asked whether that means that you're working with peer support groups, building peer support groups in various localities and towns in Somerset.
Yes, we are. COVID, unfortunately, has had a really terrible impact on peer groups who perhaps were meeting physically in halls and cafes throughout Somerset, but had to stop doing that. And a lot of people who are in peer support groups have been negatively affected by COVID and feeling nervous about going outside. It's raised anxiety levels for a lot of people. So what we're trying to do now is support those that perhaps haven't met up back into meeting face to face, and also really put a lot of effort into creating new peer groups where we can, because we know there's a need out there.
Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, you've touched on something about people's anxiety coming out of lockdown is absolutely massive. I mean, I think we all felt it to a certain extent, so let alone if one's suffering from anxiety and yes, particularly social anxiety, it can just be more inhibiting. So yeah, that sounds like you're filling a really good gap.
And there's something there about.
Yes, sorry. I mean, I'm just thinking, you know, did you go online during COVID? Did you just carry on this peer support online as much as possible?
Yes, we were running our training courses. So we run courses for people who want to try and meet others. preferably that's in a physical space, physically meeting others from their area. But we went into running a lot of training on Zoom. So we were still getting people to meet, because part of obviously lockdown has been isolation. Now, a lot of people with anxiety have benefited to a degree from being isolated because they've not had to go outside and be uncomfortable. But that's also a disadvantage because it's meant they haven't been able to try and be with others and test that anxiety. So we have provided groups on Zoom, but I'm very glad to say I ran the first session for our first face-to-face meeting in Taunton a couple of days ago. So we are back to face-to-face at last, but it's very early days.
Brilliant. That's great. I mean, perhaps you can tell me a little bit about that Taunton group. Is it a rolling program? How does it work? So if somebody was interested, you know, obviously we'll tell people how to get in touch, but would they be able to join you at this stage, or would it be a rolling program that they could then perhaps join the next time you do a sort of a setup again and introduction?
So this course is actually closed now. We've got 3 more sessions, so it's quite short, but we are planning to run a number of different courses beginning in later autumn through next year that will be longer. So we are very happy to hear from people who are interested in coming. And that's throughout Somerset. We're going to have different courses running in Mendip, Sedgemoor, Taunton and West Somerset, as well as South Somerset.
Great.
Yes, please get in touch.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I've certainly seen that. Well, I've actually watched you grow sort of perhaps over the last certainly 5 years. I've seen, you know, the changes, and actually perhaps even before then I was certainly aware of you. So when did you actually start? Because it's grown out. It's self-grown, isn't it? It's a community-based project, and it comes out of people's lived experience. So
yes,
how long? Just describe a little bit about that organisation, because it feels like it's grown and you know, developed strength as we've gone along.
It started as a group probably 12-ish years ago, maybe a bit longer. A group of friends who'd been supported in the mental health system meeting up for a cup of coffee because they felt isolated and they enjoyed each other's company. There was something very relaxing about being with people who'd had a shared experience, and therefore they felt they had something in common. They weren't being judged. It felt very equal. So they just met up for coffee over time. And gradually a few more people joined, friends of friends who'd also had that experience, and then decided that they wanted to do something for the community.
Yes.
So good. Went from there, started to hire a place and invite people to come. And it just grew until it's now a really thriving enterprise. I think there are roughly 100 members.
Yes.
Not all come at once, but they're in touch with Watch, and Watch provide a ream of services. So we have our learning forum, which is on Zoom, and anybody who's worked or had support from any members of the Open Mental Health Network, which includes the NHS, can tune into that.
Okay.
And we do we have people coming in to talk about learning different skills, and that we're happy for anyone to join that if they want to get in touch with us. We run courses for people who want to form peer groups. We run courses for people who want to be volunteers, and also courses for people who are going to be paid peer support workers in national health. So it has grown directly from experts by experience who have been through a process, who know what it's like to feel vulnerable, who know what it's like to live with mental health fragility, and they're using that expertise to really support other people in a similar position and help them through. And there's something so valuable about that level of insight that can help people in ways that more formalised care can't. That's not to be dismissive of formalised care, but it's just a really powerful addition to that journey.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and I mean, long term, that's how we do sustain ourselves and our sense of being and value, isn't it? Is our relationship with others, and so having a social connection and a connection with other people is really important to our well-being. So, I mean, I think perhaps this is a good time to bring in Bryony, isn't it?
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Bryony.
Hi.
Hi. I mean, I was just wondering how when you started on your journey really with Watch, and it'd be great if you could share some of your experiences.
Yeah, I can. I got involved a while ago. I was really ill with depression and social anxiety to the point where I'd been agoraphobic for a year. So I had help for the agoraphobia and then did the 4-week peer support training with Becky.
Yeah.
And at this course, I met a peer who introduced me to the Watch Project. And from then I went every Thursday. 3 of us from the peer support training then formed our own peer group. So to start with, we would meet once a week for coffee, and having a reason to get up and get dressed and out of the house was amazing, because depression can be so isolating. We would meet every Thursday at Watch, and knowing that my peers were going through or had similar problems to mine meant we were able to meet and support each other without judgment. We understood each other without having to explain anything in detail. For instance, when we met at Watch or for a coffee, we would meet outside of the venue so no one had to walk into a building alone. Having support a couple of times a week meant we could help each other with all sorts of things, from opening post to going to the supermarket. A big part of peer support is being able to just be there for each other while you find your own solutions. Being a peer is exactly what it says. You're not a teacher or a counsellor. You're not there to fix someone. You're just an equal who happens to understand where someone is when they're struggling.
Yeah.
And support, I think of as just being with someone while they navigate their way through their own journey.
Yeah.
I asked one of my peers to come with me on a computer course. And if you explain about needing support, I found people are happy for you to bring along a peer. This course encouraged me to do more. And I eventually did a level 3 diploma in counselling skills. This all sounds a lot quicker than it actually happened. It's been a few years, but having peer support has meant that I've been able to achieve things even when I wasn't feeling so well. I now volunteer as a lived experience support volunteer, being there for people on days out and talking about my experience of peer support to groups who are hopefully going to form their own peer groups after they finish the peer support course. And I'm co-facilitating a peer support course starting this month. And I think for me, one of the best things about peer support is being able to give something back, being able to help by just listening and being supportive because you've been through something similar.
Yeah. Well, that's extraordinary, and what a thank you for sharing that, Bryony, because it's you've touched on so many points and been very, very open there. I mean, I think particularly walking through a door where you don't know who's on the other side, you don't know what to expect, and just making that I think that's absolutely crucial. And going on a course with somebody, or all that, isn't it? I mean, we certainly know that just having that bit of walking with somebody, it's not doing anything for them, it's just walking with them.
That's absolutely it. Yeah.
It's really important. And you also mentioned, listening skills. And again, people say, I don't know what I could do for somebody. I don't know how to approach somebody, or I'm worried, but I don't know what to do. Just saying, how is it for you? Just listening and not judging. Absolutely.
That's it. It's being able to just be there for somebody, and it's you, like I say, you don't have to explain because you're going through or have been through or know someone that's going through some similar problems.
Yeah. And well, congratulations on your counselling. That's
Oh,
fantastic.
thank you. Yeah, that was a big achievement. Yeah.
Well, that's great, and I mean, God, so useful in what you're going to be doing, and the co-facilitation sounds a really lovely way to be able to give back. And also, one's journey is never ending, is it? I mean, we're all on that journey, and we're all constantly learning all the time. So just continuing and supporting people, that'd be fantastic. So thank you for that. I mean, I think it's really interesting that the mix that Watch is offering. I mean, because as you were saying, it's not just Watch, it's what you guys are doing outside it, and those peer support groups that are managing themselves. It becomes self-sustaining, doesn't it? And it becomes friendships. I think sometimes peer support sounds a bit formal, but actually it's just about making connection with somebody who's prepared to listen and is, two-way conversation. And, you might find somebody who shares interests and make friends.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing is it's people who get it, because if you are a peer, you are someone who has a shared experience, and that level of understanding takes you further into a trusting relationship than just meeting a stranger who doesn't get it. There's something much more relaxing about that. Yeah,
absolutely. Or having a professional, somebody, a clinician saying this, that, and the other. Yeah. I agree. No, that's really interesting. Thank you, Bryony.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, great. Well, all the very best.
Thank you.
Look forward to sort of seeing, well, hoping we'll meet at some point for real.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, you mentioned as well, Becky, before that, there's a number of partners out there, and I believe that you're part of the Open Mental Health Alliance. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. It's a partnership between the NHS and voluntary sector organisations.
Yes.
In Somerset, and there are other sites throughout the country where this is being tested to see how it works. So I wondered if I could just share a short film, if that's all right, that explains what the Open Mental Health Network is. Bear with me.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, I'm aware of some of the partners, so it's going to be great. And we'll explain afterwards how people can get in touch.
Lovely. Thank you.
I think it should go now.
Open Mental Health Somerset is a visionary new way of bringing together NHS services, the local voluntary sector, along with social care, to create an ongoing partnership which improves the lives of everyone living with mental illness in the local area. In the past, the working relationship between the NHS, voluntary groups and social care has resulted in outcomes which weren't always the best for people living with mental illness.
It was really hard for people with mental health needs like myself to get the support we needed. The system was broken and fragmented. We were sent to various places, had to tell our story over and over again, and because we weren't looked at as a whole person, we were told we didn't qualify. As a result, we ended up going into crisis with very serious consequences for ourselves and our families, and short-term interventions were quite ineffective because they didn't look at the larger picture, which meant we would go around and around without actually getting anywhere.
People often found themselves in a system which tried to provide a one-size-fits-all approach to mental health. This meant they would often fall through the gaps, despite there being local solutions to their problems.
I think fundamentally it was the fact that the system that we had before didn't lend itself to people working together really. So there was funding available from government, local government and national government to support mental health, and voluntary sector organisations weren't necessarily working closely enough with the NHS, and actually even within the voluntary sector itself, the system didn't lend itself to collaboration really.
So how does our new model solve this problem?
So wherever you come into the system, we will work with you to find out what your needs are and how best we meet those needs, and we'll pull people around you to meet your needs so that you feel empowered, but also you're not having to navigate a really complicated system.
So if someone comes to any part of open mental health with problems around serious mental illness, loneliness, physical health problems, housing, debt, employment, low mood or addiction, we can make sure that they get the help they need to get things back on track. We'll introduce people to the right organisation to help with their needs, where they'll find expertise, peer support and empathy for their situation. The barriers between the NHS and our voluntary and charity sector have gone. We are open for mental health in Somerset.
I can't hear you, Carrie. Sorry.
I can hear you, Becky, but I can't hear Carrie. Oh, there we are.
So I do recognise some of those challenges that came up there, that we're very familiar with them as agents, in terms of loneliness, low mood, depression, the navigation around the system is certainly what we used to doing or supporting people doing. So that I think the Open Mental Health Alliance is a very useful network for people to be aware of and to make use of as well. So how do you work within it, Becky?
Yes, so the different organisations work together to support people with various needs. And what we have at the core of the Open Mental Health Network is peer support. So that's bringing in experts by experience. That's ensuring that people that we work with are aware that they can link into other people who can understand. So it supports people, but it also, what we're trying to do is to encourage people with lived experience to become volunteers amongst these different organisations. And these organisations include Mind, Age UK, Balsam Centre, the CAB, Sweden, Second Step, Rethink. So it's a huge range of mental health organisations. So what we hope is that people who've had that lived experience come in and start to volunteer for those organisations. We as Watch support them, we train them, and we provide pastoral supervision for them, because it's a difficult step to go from being poorly to entering the world of work. Even if it's voluntary work, that's still a big leap, and we recognise that. So we like to support people in it. And then if they then feel that they want to go further than that, there are paid roles that people can then go into, particularly in the NHS, who are trying to broaden their paid peer worker offering. Yeah. So what we like to think that we do within the Open Mental Health structure is support people from illness, if I can say it like that, or mental health fragility, through to being back in a more structured environment where they feel they can offer very valuable wisdom and advice and experience, and that is then celebrated and used to help other people. So it becomes like a circular offering.
Absolutely. Well, people that, if your understanding is, I'm sure Bryony knows that if you're understanding the time it takes and the steps backwards as well as the steps forwards.
Yeah, definitely. It is a process, and having that support there just means that even little steps make a big difference.
Yeah, and you've got people there that are celebrating those little steps. Yeah, that other people might not even see.
That's it.
No, that's great. So how would people get in touch with you if they would like to know more and would like to, volunteer or be part of one of these groups or take part in your courses?
We have a central number in Chard, which I think you're going to put on the chat.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, but I'll say it now because it's useful to have it on the recording. It's 01460 391 596.
Lovely.
Thank you, Becky.
And there's also, my role is working in the community, connecting people together and making sure that peer support is known and is accessible to people. And I work with a team, there's 4 of us. So we have, I have a colleague working in Mendip, colleague covering South Somerset, a colleague covering Sedgemoor, and I cover Taunton and West Somerset. We're out and about, and we all work different part-time hours, so it's easiest to reach us through email, but we are very responsive to that.
Yeah.
And again, I'll make sure you've got all the email addresses there.
Lovely. Thank you.
Contact us.
Yeah, lovely. That's great. Well, it's been really interesting to see how you fit together and fit together with the other partners, and to hear your story, Bryony.
Oh.
I mean, I think it's really important that they're safe, secure spaces where people know that they're going to be made to feel, they will feel comfortable because it's so informal.
Yeah.
And at this point, I suppose I should mention that we, of course, have got our talking cafes up and running. The one in Taunton runs on a Monday from 10 till 12, and people are very welcome to ring CCS and ask for an appointment, and we can fit them in. They can actually turn up. It's at the Great Western Hotel on a Monday morning. So you can always, do pop along yourselves and meet some of the agents. So again, we're always there to support people around the same kind of issues. Well, unless there's anything else that you'd like me to add, or you to add, I think we can wrap up now. And I'd just like to thank you so much, both of you, for your time, and look forward to meeting you in real life at some point, Bryony.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, lovely.
Thank you, Carrie.
Okay, bye for now.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.